All right, what's going on, boys and girls? So in this particular video, we're going to be talking about advice for switching to Linux. Or more specifically, this is recommendations for those making the recommendation that people switch to Linux or try Linux, or give the option to people to try Linux coming from Windows or Mac OS. Biggest caveat and the biggest problem I've found and see is your personal distro of choice is not always going to be the distro for that person coming or looking to come to Linux. Now let what I said there sink the fuck in for a second. What does that mean? Well, what that means is take your needs, your wants, and all the other things that roll into your distro of choice and throw them the fuck out the window and take your opinion of a distribution that you may not like and throw that out the window too. Leave all options on the fucking table and help narrow the options down for the user. This kind of advice doesn't just apply to switching to Linux. This is computers and technology in general. Because at the end of the day, your personal preference for how you prefer to work, say like for me, I prefer Manjaro with the shell. That's that's the DE, that's the distro I personally prefer. But I'm not going to recommend it to a user, because I'm going to ask questions that new user is going to need. You know, what programs do you use? X, Y, or Z. Be realistic about it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Linux people, a lot of, you can call them zealots, you can call them whatever you want, that are not realistic. Or you get the dumbass who makes the recommendation of, oh, use Slackware, use Gentoo, use Straight Arch as the first distro. And to those that make those recommendations, if the person is looking to learn deeper about operating systems, then yes, those are perfectly fine recommendations. They have to be willing to learn and understand in the fact that there's going to be reading involved. If this is 80-year-old grandma that just wants her computer to work, to check email and listen to music and a few other things, probably not the recommendation to potentially make. And if you do, you're a sadomasochist, masochist, jackass who apparently doesn't like family or new users. So for me, I'm going to look at the person's needs and help them narrow down a choice and say, these are your options that you potentially have. But I'm not going to limit their options to start, because this is just like the whole pragmatism versus philosophy debate. At the end of the day, what you want for the user doesn't fucking come into play. And this is where a lot of people tend to forget. That's why when people, what's the best video editor for Linux? Well, there's Lightworks, there's DaVinci Resolve, there's Kdenlive, there's OpenShot, there's Flowblade, there's Shotcut, there's Lives, there's Pativi, there's Cinelira. Personally, I think Cinelira is ugly. I like Lightworks. DaVinci Resolve is a pain in the ass to get working. Kdenlive is great. As far as a good enemy area, OpenShot is Open Crash. Shotcut has a jank UI. Flowblade, I like. It has a lot of features, but it also has a jank UI. But that's my personal opinion. I'm not going to limit those are still going to be options I give to people, and just kind of take my own personal opinion out of it. When we make recommendations for people, your opinion, your personal experience, all of that should go out the door. And far too often, we have people having their ideology get in the way of making a recommendation. Homie, I don't care if you like something or don't like something. Is it an option? Well, yeah. Then fucking put it on the table. Because jackass, it is not your place to decide what is good for that person. That person is deciding what's good for them. You just help guide them to it. And limiting their options is not the way to do it. This goes specifically to people asking about how, other people about switching to Linux. And guess what? There's this weird thing. Linux just might not be for you, and that's okay. There are jackasses that oversell it. There are jackasses that undersell it. And then there are just douchebags who are in it, that are douchebags. And there's not much you can do. It's no different than the Windows community or the Mac OS community. So honestly, at the end of the day, to those making recommendations for people switching to Linux, take your distro choice, shine it up real pretty, make that UI look great, turn that son of a bitch sideways, and shove it up your ass and shit it back out, because it doesn't matter what you want. It only matters what they want and need.